Hey traders! We're going to have a look at AG First Majestic. We're going to have a look at First Majestic in this video, guys. Some of you guys have been asking about AG, which is First Majestic, what I think about it, so on and so forth. So let me actually just share with you what I see with First Majestic. Anything I do say in this video, guys, do not place a trade anything. Do not place a trade based on anything I do say in this video, okay, guys? Because it's just not, you get the point, right? Trading is risky. It could cause substantial financial loss. Do not place a trade based on this monkey's video. Actually, just close it down, right? Right? The market can take your house and so much more, guys. Just be smart about what you're doing. Guys, if you want to get some education, coaching, links in the description. There's my little plug there for myself. All right, all links in the description. Let's get straight into it. So, First Majestic. So the very first thing, guys, when I'm looking at the market, so let me actually delete all the trend lines off the screen here. The very first thing you want to look at, guys, and it's really simple. When you're looking at the markets, you want to just simply look at the longer term time frame. So if you look in the buyer stock, I like to look at the weekly chart. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to simply look at what is actually happening with the weekly chart itself. And you always want to make sure, guys, that don't ever be buying a stock based on, I remember that there was this plenty of YouTube channels out there saying, you know, First Majestic, and I even heard the CEO talking many times through here saying, yeah, it's a good buy, it's a good buy, it's a good buy. You know, and it's like, yeah, so just all right, guys, so just be smart about your decisions. And the way you be smart about your decisions, it comes down to real simple analysis. Let me bring up my blank chart here for a minute. And it comes up to real simple analysis. Weekly chart, blank chart, and this is all you have to do. You have to look at what are the highs and lows telling you. So let's actually go through here. So we have a high, we have a lower high, and a lower high. Now this is also what? A lower high. So who's in control of this stock right now? Sellers, right? Now that doesn't mean it's going to go down. No, we just want to make sure that if we're trading a long-term trade, that we are trading with the overall underlying direction of trend. And if the major sellers are knocking it down, then it's a very low probability trade to take. We have an equal low, an equal low, and an equal low. Makes sense, guys? And then we had this big flush down, sideways, and then we've had this rally back up. So there's two different scenarios that I see playing out here for AG. The first thing I do see, guys, is that this here was a breakdown, a little lower high, and then we actually continue running down from there. And we see this sort of action coming down through here. Or either this movement down here on this weekly chart was a false breakout, was just like a bit of a flush down through here. As you can see from these lows through here, so it was a bit of a flush down through there, rally back up, and then the market's going to come down through here, hold it through here, and we're likely to start rallying back up and out. If that's the case, then I believe this is a major bottom, and then I believe if the market does start to turn around over the next week or two, then we're likely to. Then I believe this is now going to be like a final bottom, and especially if we can start to break above those highs there, and we actually can start to really. Well, especially if we start to break above this high here, right? So especially if we start to get like above that $8, $8.50, we'll really start to rally out of that. If this happens where it's come down, it's rallied up, it comes back down, and now we have this rally back up from there, creating a little higher trough. I believe this false breakout now would be like a final bottom, because that's generally what happens in a long-term trend. You get this like big final bottom, and then the rally back out. If that's the case, then I do see a lot more upside happening in First Majestic. Now, just bear in mind, guys, that when you look at this market has been very sideways for a long time. Makes sense? So we've actually had a lot of areas of support and resistance. So we really need to for us to be out of the danger zone, so to speak, we really need to be above, say, $10 for us to be getting out of that danger zone. And then I believe once we start to get above $10, then I do believe we're likely to start going through another good run like we did back here in 2016. So it's really interesting, guys, right? It's like whatever market is absolutely taking off like gun-ho, that's what everyone is excited about. It's like right now everyone's been excited about Bitcoin. Not so much lately because the Bitcoin's been coming off a bit more there, but it's interesting whatever market's taking off in the big time, then that's what people are focused on, and that's what they're really looking at. So once again, guys, looking at that weekly chart. If we go back to the daily chart again, guys, you can actually see what's going on here. This actually may be an overall final bottom. I don't know about that. I'm definitely not saying, you know, you definitely don't want to try to pick the bottom. What I believe, guys, is this, is that if you're trading the markets, the best thing to do is wait for the market to turn around, then trade it. That's going to give you that's going to increase your probability, I don't know, tenfold. You know, what a lot of people do is that the market will be coming down, it'll have a little rally up, and they go, oh look, the bottom's in, and they'll start to buy it here, and it'll just continue down. What you want to do is if you're looking to buy a stock, you want to wait for that long-term trend to change and then hop into it, right? Wait for some bottom. What's some sort of bottoming action? Well, the market rallies up, it either creates a little higher high, then comes down, maybe creates a little higher low. Again, weekly higher low, higher high, buyers in control. That's gonna increase your probability of being in a long-term uptrend tenfold. As I said before, guys, if you look at this, if you look at silver, if you look at First Majestic here on the actual chart, we see we have a higher low, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and another lower high, right? So the sellers are still knocking this down overall. So I definitely wouldn't want to be buying it right now, because we could see a movement down. Once the buyers start to turn this around long term by creating basically a higher high and a higher low like that, once we start to see that sort of action, then that's where a nice buying opportunity would come into play based on that. But once again, guys, it's not about that one position you're buying to make you money. You know, it's not about just buying one stock and then holding that and then say, okay, well that's my one trade there. Because what if that one trade's a loser, right? Because you never know, right? You never ever know. That's what trading is all about. Trading is all about probability, and I think this is something that it's so hard for people to get. It's not about finding one perfect trade and whacking all that money on the trade to make as much money as quickly as possible. That's what most people do, and they get blown out of the water. It's all about it's taking a setup what you believe in and just taking that and taking that, but also having risk and money management place, like having an area say, you know what? Even though I'm getting into a really nice high probability trade right now, I know that this trade could be a loser. So if the market does certain things in this market, I'm going to get out. Or if the market gets to a certain price, like you might see the market, why is everything green? Everything's green on my chart, green for all money. So you might say, okay, look, it made a little high low and it's running up, and you might enter up here, right? The thing is this, guys, when you enter the market based on your belief the market's going to keep going up, right? Because of basically what's happened there. But you also need to expect and be okay with the market actually doing this and turning around and maybe just stopping you out. So you also need to have an area where you're going to get out for a loss. Yes, that's right. You need to be okay with actually having a loss in the markets, because that's what it's all about, guys. Okay, so it's not about just picking this one stock. If you may find a really nice entry signal there, and it may just stop you out. That's okay. On with the next one. Makes sense, guys? But don't ever wait for the perfect time to get into First Majestic, whack a whole bunch of money on there, and then you say, you know what, I'm buying hold for the rest of my life, and that's it. You know, like, no, you got to be smart about this. Have an area where you're going to have your risk management place. Meaning, if you do get in, say up here, and the market starts to come off through here, where are you going to get out? You're not, because guys, I've heard so many people say, even on my YouTube channel a while ago, someone said, you know, I've been holding such and such. I've been holding short positions in silver and gold, even though the trend has been clearly up. The charts have been clearly up. That they've been holding short positions in silver and gold, and now they're down 80%. Or their account's down 80% because they've just whacked all that money on one trade. Don't be that guy. Don't be that person. Okay? Be smart about the way you're trading. One, have an area where you're going to get out. So you know what? I'm getting in right now, and have that area. And just be smart about the way you do things, okay, guys? Because as I said before, guys, here's one of the biggest keys to successful trading. Is taking every trade based on what your trading plan says. Now, and taking that same setup again and again and again and again. Where my trading has just taken off is I have a trading plan and I have a trading system that I 100% believe in, and I have to take that trade no matter what. And it's not about just taking one big trade and whacking my entire account on it and hoping that's going to make you money, because that's not how you do well in the markets. How you do well in the markets is to be able to have that trading system and take every single trade regardless, without your opinion or judgment, but then also knowing that you're going to have a win-loss ratio. You know, I see a lot of people making a lot of money in the markets, and they have like a 60% win-loss ratio. I saw one guy a while ago turn like, I don't know, $1,000 trading account into like 100,000 in like 3 or 4 months. This was day trading, and he took a lot of trades. But guess what, guys? He was only 60% right? So you don't have to be right to be rich in the markets. The problem we have is that we focus so much on this one position making money, and everything else just goes out the window. When you get into a trade, and this is part of the trading in the zone that we talk about, when you get into the trade, you need to be okay with the fact that this trade may be a loser. It's just a numbers game. Don't be so tied up to it. Don't be hoping and praying that this is got to be a winner, and if it's not, well then it's going to be hurting you. Don't do that, right, guys? Knowing that no matter what trade you take, every single trade you take has a random outcome built in with a probability of an outcome. And the only way you actually see the probability of that trade is taking it 10, 20, 30, 40 times. And over those, even 10 times, you say, oh, look, here's my win-loss ratio. Make sense, guys? So that's the only way you can move forward. And I'm doing this based on this video here because it's about being smart. And I think a lot of people are just focused on, you know, what's the next best setup? What's the next best hot stock? What's the best stock to get into right now? All that sort of stuff. And all this sort of crap that people go along with when they're actually trading the markets. And it's ruining your people. Like, guys, if you're trading like that, if you're like looking at First Majestic and waiting, and if you have to ask me what I think about First Majestic, then I'm going to tell you what I think about it. But don't be getting into First Majestic based on what I tell you or what I think is a good idea. Because as I said before, guys, no one knows that every single trade you take has a random outcome. That means you can have a loss. And you need to be okay with that, and you need to get out of that loss as quickly as possible when it's not working for you. Make sense, guys? Anyway, I think I beat this horse thing. I'm trying to protect you guys, and I'm trying to help you guys that some things that I really learned over my time as being a trader. So there we go, guys. Speak to you soon.